Okay, so let's dive into this. We've got a whole stack of reports and articles here about SASE, Secure Access Service Edge. And honestly, after looking through everything,
Yeah.
it's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, it really is. And it's one of those things, it's more than just a tech acronym.
Right.
It's really about understanding how vulnerable we are in
Exactly.
this digital world.
Yeah, and how SASE can kind of help us navigate this whole new landscape.
Right.
So, I mean, picture this. You're running a major energy company, and all of a sudden your entire pipeline shuts down.
Yeah.
And it's not because of some kind of technical glitch. Someone hacked your systems.
Right.
That's exactly what happened with that Colonial Pipeline attack.
Right.
And it's kind of a chilling example, I think, of why we're even talking about this.
Absolutely. And what's so fascinating about this is that, we're not just talking about protecting data anymore. It's about really understanding that the digital and the physical worlds
Yeah,
are completely intertwined.
they're totally. Yeah.
And a cyber attack
Yeah.
in the digital realm can have very real-world consequences that impact
Yeah.
our physical safety, our well-being.
You're hitting on something because it's like we've built this incredibly interconnected digital world, right?
Right.
Without really fully grasping
Yeah.
the potential fallout, I think.
And the implications.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just about like, oh, someone's going to steal my credit card details or something.
Right.
It's nation states potentially disrupting
Exactly.
entire power grids.
Yeah. Water systems.
Water systems, transportation.
Transportation. Yeah.
Like
Right.
all of a sudden, our physical security feels very much dependent on this digital world that, frankly, might not be as secure as we thought.
Right. And if that wasn't enough,
Yeah.
AI is adding a whole other layer of complexity
Oh, yeah.
to this already precarious situation. It's like
Right.
we're handing a master key to both the defenders and the attackers.
Yeah, so not only are we more reliant on this digital world than ever, but the threats themselves
Yes.
are becoming more sophisticated.
Absolutely.
Harder to even combat. It's like trying to secure a fortress with walls that are invadable and constantly shifting and changing.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, how can businesses even hope to keep up?
Yeah, you're touching on the heart of the issue, right?
Right.
Which is that these traditional security measures, right? This idea of building a fortress around your network
Right.
simply aren't effective in today's hyper-connected world.
Yeah.
Because it's like, imagine, like, you're guarding a castle, but all of your employees are working remotely, accessing data from all over the world.
Right.
Those old defenses, they just don't work.
They don't cut it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk solutions then.
Okay.
That's where, I mean, this is where SASE comes in, right? It's supposed to be this new way, more dynamic way
Yeah.
of handling security in this crazy digital age.
Right.
But to be honest with you, from what I've seen, it seems like everyone's got a different definition of what SASE even is.
Yeah.
So how do we even begin to unpack this?
You're right. I mean, the SASE market can feel like a bit of a Wild West right now. Yeah.
Where everyone's claiming to have the best solution,
Right.
but it's really difficult to separate
Right.
genuine innovation from marketing hype.
Yeah.
And that's where understanding the core principles
Right.
of the sauce
Yeah.
becomes so crucial. Like, we need to look beyond the buzzwords.
Okay, so let's cut through the noise.
Yeah.
What are the fundamental ideas behind SaaS? Like, what makes it so different from those old, outdated security approaches?
Right. Well, at its core, sauce really flips the script on traditional security.
Okay.
Because instead of focusing on building these hardened perimeters, around everything,
Right.
it's a more flexible approach.
Yeah.
It's cloud-centric.
Yep.
It adapts to users and devices wherever they are.
So it's less about building these like impenetrable walls and more about having like a security force that kind of travels with you.
It's anticipating threats and adapting in real time.
Yes, and this is where those core components that we hear so much about,
Right.
SD-WAN, Zero Trust, SSE,
Right.
they're not just buzzwords.
Right.
They're really the building blocks that make this whole adaptable security approach possible.
Okay, so let's break those down a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, I know WAN stands for Wide Area Network.
Right.
But what makes it software defined in SD-WAN?
So think about the old way of doing things.
Mhm.
We were so hardware dependent
Right.
with these physical routers directing traffic.
Right.
And that's fine when everyone's working in the same office building.
Right.
But in today's world of cloud applications and remote workforces, it's
Yeah.
It's like trying to direct rush hour traffic with a hand-cranked signal.
Right. SD-WAN kind of changes the game because it uses software to intelligently route traffic across various connections,
Yeah.
broadband, MPLS, even cellular networks based on real-time conditions.
So it's like having an intelligent traffic management system
Exists.
for your data,
Yep.
basically,
Yes.
making sure that the most important applications get priority regardless of where they're being accessed.
Precisely. And that's critical in today's business landscape,
Right.
where this seamless access to cloud applications and real-time collaboration
Right.
can make or break productivity.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially in a world where every second counts.
Right.
But how does this tie back into security? Because it sounds like we're just talking about making the network run faster and smoother.
Right. You're right to point that out because SD-WAN alone isn't enough. That's where zero trust comes into play.
Okay, zero trust.
Yeah.
This one always sounds a little intense to me.
Shove
Like
it.
I should be questioning every email I get, every link I click, even my own reflection at this point.
Well, maybe hold off on the reflection part, but
Okay.
you're getting the right idea.
Okay.
Zero trust is about moving away from this idea of trust but verify
Right.
to a more proactive security posture of never trust, always verify.
Okay.
It's acknowledging that threats can come from anywhere,
Right.
inside or outside your network.
So instead of assuming that anyone within the network walls is inherently trustworthy,
Right.
you're basically treating every user, every device, every connection with suspicion.
Precisely. It's like having a security checkpoint
Okay.
at every single door in the castle, constantly verifying identities and permissions.
Okay.
So even if someone manages to slip through one door,
Yeah.
they're going to be met with another layer of security.
So it's about limiting the potential damage.
Exactly.
By making it much harder for attackers to move laterally within a network, even if they manage to get through those initial defenses.
Exactly. And this continuous verification isn't just limited to users and devices.
Okay.
It extends to applications as well.
Okay.
So zero trust ensures that applications are only communicating with each other
Right.
when they're authorized to do so,
Gotcha.
further reducing that attack surface.
Okay, so we've got our intelligent network traffic control with SD-WAN.
Yeah.
We've got our, ever vigilant security force with zero trust.
Right.
What about SSE? Where does that fit into this whole picture?
So SSE stands for Security Service Edge.
Okay.
And this is where we bring in those crucial cloud-based security services that we've been talking about, right?
Right.
Firewalls, intrusion prevention, data loss prevention, you name it.
Okay.
Think of it as a suite of advanced security tools that are delivered directly to the user or device wherever they may be.
So instead of having all those security services running on individual devices,
Right.
which could slow things down, potentially,
Yes.
SSE provides this more centralized cloud-based approach
Exact.
that doesn't sacrifice performance.
You got it. And because it's delivered from the cloud,
Right.
SSE can be constantly updated and scaled to meet those latest security threats,
Right.
ensuring that defenses remain effective against those evolving attack methods that are always changing.
It sounds like all three of these components, SD-WAN, Zero Trust, SSE,
Yeah,
they all work together
they do.
to create this seamless, adaptable security shield
Yeah.
we're talking about, constantly evolving and adjusting to the changing threat landscape as it does.
That's the ultimate goal. But, as rightly pointed out earlier,
Right.
the SASE landscape can feel like the Wild West out there.
Yeah, it really can.
So how do we separate the real deal from the marketing fluff?
Yeah.
Well, that's where MS certification comes in.
Okay, we briefly touched upon MF certification earlier, but let's dive into that a little deeper.
Okay.
What makes it so important in this whole SASE equation?
Imagine you're trying to buy a car,
Okay.
but there are no safety ratings, no
Right.
crash test results. You're basically taking a huge gamble with your safety, right?
Mm.
That's essentially what many businesses risk by investing in these SaaS solutions without any independent verification.
Right.
S certification provides those much-needed safety ratings for the SASE world.
So it's like having a trusted third party rigorously test these SaaS solutions
Yes.
against a strict set of standards
Sure,
to make sure that they actually deliver what they promise.
That's it. And it's not just a cursory glance either.
Right.
They go deep testing for everything.
Okay.
From SD-WAN performance to zero trust efficacy to SSE security features.
Right.
So for businesses, It's that reassurance that they're investing in a solution that's been vetted by the experts
Right.
and that it meets these critical security benchmarks.
That peace of mind is invaluable, especially when you're talking about something as crucial as cybersecurity. But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the cost of not investing in these advanced security measures.
Right.
Because you mentioned earlier that cybercrime is projected to cost over $10 trillion by 2025.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just mind-boggling.
It's a staggering number.
How do they even begin to calculate a figure like that? It's not like hackers are like publicly trading on Wall Street and filing their annual reports.
Right. Right. You're right to be skeptical.
Yeah.
It's not a perfect science by any means, but
Right.
security firms, researchers, government agencies,
Okay.
they use a combination of data sources to arrive at these estimates.
So what kind of data are we talking about?
Well, they're looking at things, data from reported breaches.
Right.
They factor in the average cost per breach across industries.
Okay.
They look at ransomware attacks. How much was demanded? How much was paid?
Right.
The cost of downtime for businesses that are basically held hostage.
Right.
And then we can't forget about the human cost,
Yeah. So of course.
the impact of identity theft on individuals.
So it's not just about the money that's stolen directly.
Right.
It's that ripple effect.
Yes.
It impacts productivity,
Yeah.
reputation,
Absolutely.
legal fees,
Yes.
cybersecurity insurance, all of that.
It touches everything.
It's like this dominant effect,
Yeah.
hitting every corner of the global economy.
Precisely. And, the scariest part of this is that these costs are only projected to rise.
Right.
Because, these attacks are only becoming more sophisticated and more frequent.
Right. Yeah, ignoring this isn't just risky at this point.
It's becoming borderline negligent.
It really is.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say I'm a business leader, I'm listening to this, and I'm convinced
Okay.
SEs is the way to go.
Okay.
Where do I even start?
Right?
Because it seems like a pretty daunting task to, overhaul your entire security approach.
It can feel overwhelming for sure, but the first step is surprisingly straightforward.
Oh.
Just take stock of where you are.
Okay.
What are your most critical assets?
Right.
Where are your biggest vulnerabilities? What are your specific security needs?
So there's no, one-size-fits-all SASE solution.
No, not at all.
Every organization kind of has to approach this differently based on their own, circumstances.
Absolutely. Trying to force fit some generic solution
Right.
can actually create more vulnerabilities.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You need a SaaS solution that really aligns with your business goals, your risk tolerance, your operational realities.
And that's where those MEF certifications kind of come in handy.
Exactly.
It's like having this guidebook that helps you navigate this really complex landscape and find the solutions that have actually been vetted by experts.
That's it. MEF certification provides that baseline of trust and assurance.
Right.
But remember, it's a journey, not a destination.
Right.
Implementing SaaS,
Yeah.
it's an ongoing process.
Okay.
Requires careful planning, collaboration, adaptation.
So it's not just about flipping a switch and suddenly you're cyber invincible.
Right. I wish it were that easy.
Yeah, right.
Jackals.
But you're talking about really integrating new technologies.
Yes.
Potentially overhauling existing systems, training employees on new protocols, and then constantly monitoring and adapting to new threats as they emerge.
It's true. Yeah.
It requires a very proactive, ongoing commitment.
It does. It does.
It sounds like a significant undertaking.
Yeah.
But, the stakes really couldn't be higher.
They couldn't be higher.
We've covered the what, the why, and the how of SASE.
We have.
But before we wrap up, I have to ask, what comes next?
Right.
What does the future of cybersecurity look like in a world that's increasingly reliant on interconnected systems and facing these ever-evolving threats?
Chuckles. You're asking the million-dollar question.
Right.
The truth is, none of us have a crystal ball.
Right.
We don't know exactly what the future holds. The threat landscape is constantly evolving.
Right.
But what we do know is that AI and machine learning,
Yeah.
they're going to play a pivotal role in this kind of ongoing arms race, right?
It's almost like a science fiction novel at this point, right?
It really is.
AI driving both the threats
Yes.
and the defenses of the future.
Exactly. Imagine these AI-powered security systems
Okay.
that can anticipate attack patterns
Wow.
before they even emerge,
Okay.
or that can instantly adapt and respond to breaches in real time,
Wow.
minimizing the impact on your operations.
So we're not just talking about playing catch-up anymore. We're
Okay.
talking about being proactive
Yes,
and potentially even preemptive
exactly.
in our security approach.
Yes, and it goes beyond just technology.
Okay.
We need to start cultivating a culture of cybersecurity awareness at all levels, from the CEO to the intern. Everyone needs to understand their role in safeguarding their organization and, frankly, themselves.
So the future of cybersecurity isn't just about building smarter systems.
Right.
It's about creating a more informed and vigilant digital citizenry.
Absolutely. We need individuals who are empowered to identify threats, who understand the importance of strong cyber hygiene, who are constantly learning and adapting to new challenges as they come up.
It's like we're all on the front lines of this new digital frontier,
We are.
and knowledge is our most powerful weapon.
I love that analogy. That's fantastic. And that's what I really hope listeners will take away from this deep dive today.
Yeah.
Educate yourselves, engage in these conversations, advocate for stronger security measures within your organizations.
Become that voice of clarity, basically. Urging your colleagues and leaders to really embrace SASE and prioritize cybersecurity.
It's not just about protecting data.
Right.
It's about protecting our interconnected future.
And on that note of shared responsibility, I think we're going to wrap up this deep dive into the world of SaaS. A huge thank you to our expert for breaking down this very complex topic with such clarity and insight.
It's been my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And to our listeners, remember, stay curious, stay vigilant, and most importantly, stay safe in that ever-evolving digital world. Until next time, this has been The Deep Dive.